Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Courtney Daniella. In part 1, we discussed singleness, purpose, identity, and the cultural messages that women are receiving about marriage. Today, we're moving from ideas to experience as Courtney shares her personal journey through singleness, discernment, and the realities of marriage.
Yeah.
And as women, how do you then establish yourself outside of a relationship? So let's look at your, the singleness season, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with being single, but the way it's being made to look like is as if it's like, I don't know, you've
the
been
wilderness,
forced,
I'm telling
yeah,
you.
like some prison that you are in that you're waiting to be set free from, which that's not what it is. But yeah, how do you, in that season, kind of establish yourself as a woman? And you were single for 7 years prior to finding your husband, or your husband finding you, should I say. What does establishing yourself outside of a relationship look like?
It just looks like doing everything you want to do, everything that you can do in obedience to God's calling. Even if you are not clear on what your purpose is, your calling is, because when you're young, sometimes you don't have clarity on that. Even now, I'm 29, I don't have clarity on that. So it's just allowing yourself to be... God sets us all on this assignment, right? Of be a disciple, go make disciples, right? It's doing that in every sphere. It's allowing your excellence and your diligence to reach every task that you have been given, whether it be in your office, whether it be through your boss, whether it be through your parents, whether it be at your church, whatever it is, whether it be to serve your friends. It's a life of service, but service with excellence. You know, I'm called to, I always tell people, we all have the same purpose, right? To glorify God, to love people, and to do good work. That's literally the three things: to glorify God, to love people, and to do good work. You do that in everything that you do. Everything that your hand finds to do, do it unto the Lord. Do it well. Do it with diligence. Do it with faithfulness. So for me, it looked like, okay, I wanted to travel. I'm not holding that back till I get married.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But don't you want to go with your husband? When he comes, we can go again.
We can go again, yeah.
But if he never comes, you obviously be sitting in North London somewhere. Oh,
just waiting.
Relax your nerves. So I went traveling. This is what I wanted to do. I built businesses.
Yeah.
I loved doing that. I made myself somebody who I liked. I like myself. I like the way I think. I like my character. You know, I'm serving in church. I'm discovering, okay, what are my talents? What are my gifts? How can I make sure that until Christ returns, these are being put to use and they're growing? They are actually increasing. How do I serve people, my generation? Everything that I have, how do I just put it to use? That's how you establish yourself. And I think there's this fear of like, people have been contacting me and be like, oh, but I want to get into a relationship, but you know, I want to get my finances up and I want to get my this up and I want to get my that up. Baby girl, all of it will come with time. But I don't think there is a specific, once you get all of this as a woman, you're ready. It's not about the getting, it's more about the becoming. I think once you become a woman who is very mature in her walk, you can do the marriage thing. That's what will establish you. Are you mature enough in your walk? And even if you're not, marriage will mature you real quick, but the spiritual maturity has to be your goal. Right? So I think that's what you do. And I think that's a great way to use your singleness, because it means that you're not pairing yourself, it means that you're not pairing yourself with just any man. You know yourself. You know where you're going. You know the type of woman that you are. You know your shortcomings. You know your strengths. You know what you want out of your life. And whilst God can come and change a whole bunch of those things, for now, that's the woman that you know. And that man needs to pick the woman that you are, not the woman he wants to shape you into being. And I think that's important for women, because I think as an ambitious woman who has friends who are ambitious women, sometimes there's this, I need to hold back on my ambitions. I need to hold back on my talents. I need to hold back on my personality because I don't want to scare any man off.
That's crazy.
But first of all, you're not going to marry just any man. You need to marry the man for you. I can't lie to you. And that man for you needs to be able to see you in the fullness of who you are and be able to say, that's the one that I like. That's the one that I want. And I'm not going to stop her from being that person on the other side of our wedding day, because I also recognize how much of a benefit that is for me.
It's really, really important. I think I was thinking in terms of like how men, they love this thing of, I need to get my money up. They do the work to, although they may look at it in a different way, they do the work in terms of, I need to get myself up, I need to do my make sure my career is all good, I've got the money in the bank, and da. I think in the same way, women can also adopt that kind of mentality, obviously with a different thinking behind it. But also, like, where do you draw the line in terms of, I think you kind of mentioned it, but preparing yourself. And not thinking, if I don't have this, then I can't move.
Yeah. So I think also we can sometimes over-index on this is how you prepare to be a wife. Relax.
Yeah.
Relax. Because really and truly, it's two people who are just functional adults.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is how you prepare to be a functional adult. Cooking, cleaning, it's functional adult stuff.
Yeah.
If you've ever lived alone, you have to cultivate it. Unless you want to live in a pigsty. But maybe that's what you want for your life too. Yeah. So pair yourself with someone who wants that, who's fine with that. Because they exist.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? There are some men, because we can tell, you have to learn to clean, you have to learn to cook. There are some men out there who are happy to eat takeaway 3 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
Who are happy to get a cleaner in every week and pay for it. They don't care. Yeah. So I think sometimes we push this narrative on women. And yes, it's cost effective. Yes, it's whatever. But fundamentally, being a wife should never just be reduced to domestic duties and capabilities. You're not a maid. That's not what this is. So I think sometimes we get a bit too 1954.
I think that's also culture. I think that's culture, especially for those that come from African household. From the time that you are small, are you going to do that in your husband's house?
Oh my gosh, what about my own home?
Is that the time you'll be waking up in your husband's house?
I'll be so real with you, This is one of the things that used to, like, in the beginning, I was about to say that used to, but it's only 9 months. But in the beginning of my marriage, these are the things that I used to feel guilt about and shame about. Oh yeah, because me too, I'll be lying in, it's 9:30, I'm still asleep.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I'll wake up.
And you will feel some way about it.
Sometimes I knew I needed the rest. I mean, I know I needed the sleep. Sometimes because my work schedule is not very predictable. Sometimes sometimes you're also just tired. I don't need to be anywhere this morning. Let me just sleep inside. So I'll be sleeping, and also, like, obviously I don't have children yet, things like that. So I know some people wait till you have kids. I get it, and I will wait.
The wait till people.
Do you get me? The wait till people they're coming. But also I will wait till I have kids because why not make the most of this season?
Exactly.
Exactly. Let me get all my sleep now before they come. But then I used to feel guilty because then my husband will come back from work. Like, so what have you been up to today? And I'm like,
chilling.
The place you left me is where you're coming to find me, actually. I've been relaxing. I used to feel guilty because I would think to myself, damn, if my auntie could see me, if my mum could see me, people would be thinking I'm a bad wife, right? And it took my husband sitting down and being like, I don't mind you sleeping all day.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I actually don't care per se. Like, this is not that. You don't have to be that. Yeah. And taking that kind of pressure and cultural expectation off. Yeah. And I think that helped me to remember that, like, I am loved outside of my performance. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about Christendom and about faith, right? It's being told you are loved outside of your performance. Yeah. Yes, there are things that are wisdom. There are ways that you steward every minute of your time. And I'm not like a wasteful person. There are some days you wake up at, like I woke up at 5 this morning. Yeah. But there's all these different things that sometimes we can think, I haven't been perfect. If people were looking at me, this is what they would say.
What's
the right, exactly. But it's not about pleasing people. Yeah. It's about pleasing the Lord, right? And so having him kind of break this thing down of, like, the house doesn't always need to look like, and you don't need to feel guilty. I remember there was a time where I apologized to him and I was like, I'm so sorry, the house is a bit messy. He was like, I haven't even noticed what you're talking about. Like,
but I think for women, you've got all of
because we've been coached. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wife, your house always has to be clean. And to be fair, it's because of the social repetition, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be that way, but because other people think it has to be that way, you will be judged if it's not. Yeah. I remember before getting married, an auntie in our church, so lovely, she was like, let me just be real with you. It shouldn't be like this, but it is. If people come to your house and they see your house is messy, they're never going to blame your husband. It's always going to be your fault. It's just the reality. So you do with that information what you will.
Yeah, I think that pressure will always be there. And when people come over to your house, you'll be doing the absolute most.
Exactly. We actually wrote this in our book once, and we put in like, you'll be cleaning your house as if nobody even lives there. But really, the hope is to make relationships with people who don't even care, who don't even see the mess as a problem because they know they've got mess at home. Do you get what I mean? And judge you for the mess. Or will help you clean up the mess. But that's another topic for another day. Yeah. So I think preparing for marriage simply comes about with, yes, there are the practical aspects of being a grown, functioning adult. Yeah. I think everyone should cultivate that. I don't want to see you acting immature, unable to take care of yourself if your parents are not around because you're single. That doesn't make sense. At some point, you have to just be an adult. You have to be a grown-up. I think everyone, man or woman, should cultivate that. It was a very big thing for me when I was getting married. I was like, if I marry a man who can't cook, he can't clean, like if I left him for a week, he couldn't survive. Yeah. That's a baby. It's not gonna work.
There was an event that I did one time, and it was like loads of like different women. It was married women give like advice, or let's talk about marriage. And one of the things that one lady was saying, and my eyes were just rolling all the way back. Yeah, men are babies. You know, you need to treat them like babies. And I'm just like, sorry, how is this helping anyone?
But then at the same time, and then I should submit to you at the same time. Somebody I could basically breastfeed. Oh, please.
I'm just like, please. These kinds of like messaging is not
so harmful and so dangerous. And again, it leads to that cycle of men not being held to the accountability to be husbands. Yeah. But I also think it gives a horrible message to women, which is that these are the things that make you valuable as a woman to a man, which I don't think is necessarily true. I think if anything that you can outsource to someone else is not your value. It's not your value, right? If I can outsource cooking, it's not my value. If I can, legit. Like if I say today I'm not gonna cook tonight, and then there's 4 apps on your phone that you can go to get food in the next 15 minutes. Let's be serious. Yeah, I don't bring any value to the table if I'm being honest with you. Right, the value could be, yes, it saves us money and stuff like that, but then at a point when we start making the money, am I valuable anymore? You know, and so I think it's for women to recognize that your value is not in anything that can be replaced. You cannot be replaced. Your thought process, your presence, your support, your love, your character, the presence and the joy you bring to a home, the challenge that sometimes you bring in making sure that people are sharpened, that cannot just be replaced very quickly. That is a valuable woman. Like even in the, you know, we always talk about Proverbs 31, be a Proverbs 31 woman, but in that she was doing things, and the virtue of her was her service, her excellence, her work ethic, genuinely her character that made her so radiant to people that they'll tell her husband, you're blessed. Like you are a blessed man because of this woman. That is not simply cooking, cleaning, and being able to like that. Oh, please.
Was there at any point in your like singleness journey where we've spoken about like idolizing marriage, did you ever feel like were you ever at a point that you idolized marriage? Or the pressures? Because I can imagine
the pressure.
A lot of the you know, you've done the schooling, you've done this.
To the point where people were like, don't go too far with that. Don't go too far with the schooling. Don't go too far with the entrepreneurship. At some point, you're going to be too educated and make too much money to attract a man.
But then that goes back to what you were saying in terms of we're trying to do these things to appease to very, God knows who this man is, right? But the person, and then this person that you will find is supposed to be the person for you. So if we're talking about, men don't like women that are too educated, but that's not the man that I want.
Exactly. He should go and find somebody else. And there's no problem in that woman who he wants, but he shouldn't try to force someone who is not that to be that.
No.
Or weaponize the whole, you know, relationship status thing against them. I think for myself, I never idolized marriage purely because of growing up. I saw how dysfunctional marriage could be. So I'm very to some degree grateful that I had that perspective of, I don't just want to be married for marriage sake, because I've seen where that can sometimes lead to. And this is not me. I think also there's this particular rhetoric that's kind of arising right now of like, oh, you know, our mothers and our aunties, they were happy to stay in bad marriages. I don't think they were happy to stay. I think they were living in different cultural contexts, which meant that staying in the marriage, as bad as it was better than being out of the marriage. Because of the stigmas around divorce, separation, single parenthood, but also the financial realities of having to be alone. A lot of them thought, you know what, I know I'm battered and bruised here. I'm not loved. I'm emotionally abused, financially abused, whatever it is. I am broken on the inside. But for the sake of my children's future, it will be better for me to stay in this marriage, as broken as it is, than to be a single Black woman outside of it. And I think that's the sad reality and sad. The compassion that we actually need to approach it with. But, you know, further than that, I think for myself, I had seen what that could do. And I just thought, I don't want any part in that. So I didn't idolize marriage, but the pressure was definitely there. Being a Christian girl, you know, where a lot of the, you know, cultural narrative is getting married is the pinnacle of womanhood. There was that, wow, people are getting married left, right, center. Oh, hey, I haven't even had a talking stage, you know? And people, you know, I would get the whole, are you praying about marriage? It's like,
were you praying about marriage?
I was. I've been praying about my marriage, not to get married.
Okay, about
my marriage.
Yeah, okay.
Since I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, when I gave my life to Christ, I was dating a Muslim. There's a lot happening there at that time. I was dating a Muslim, and then I got convicted very quickly. I was dating a Muslim, then I got saved.
And then you got saved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And God was like, yeah, lock it off. So I locked it off. I broke up with him, and that was the beginning of my singleness journey. So that's when those 7 years kind of started. And I remember telling God that the next man you bring me needs to be my husband. And that's what led to me being single for so long. But from then I was praying for my marriage, because I didn't want it to be a repetition of a cycle.
What you've seen,
Exactly. So it was praying more so of, God, you need to cleanse everything. Like we need to prepare me to build something that is not like anything we've ever seen before. Right? Help me to actually be a woman who can build the vision of a marriage I have. Like, I have a vision of kids who are happy. I have a vision of me and my husband laughing. I have a vision of us building things together, transparently sharing finances, me being at his work stuff, him being at my work stuff, us celebrating each other. I've never seen that before in my life. So how do you build something you've never seen, but you've only seen in your heart? You pray.
Yeah. No, I love
you
that.
Pray and you ask God to shape you into the person who not only can build that, but can also not settle for anything that's not that.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by
and that takes time.
Exactly.
That building, that
real pruning. So that's what I mean by I've been praying for my marriage, praying for my husband as well, praying for him as a man, wherever he is, because life's crazy out here.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever he's going through. And I told this story at our wedding, actually, but my husband, so my husband's family and my family have been family friends for a long time. We met when we were like 10 years old. Then we lost contact, but I would often hear of things that he was going through whilst I was also going through a lot of stuff through our teen years. And, you know, just to know that, okay, whilst I was praying for my husband, not knowing it was him, not wanting it to be him, that he was also going through his own process. You know, dealing with parents who have been divorced, having divorced parents can be very, very tough. And so going through that process and knowing, okay, you know, the prayers of the righteous avail much, you know.
And it was working behind the scenes.
By the grace of God alone,
So how, in terms of like now finding a person and like having discernment in terms of like, this is the person for me. How do you discern that?
Hey, asking big questions.
How do I know that this is...
Asking big questions.
This is my person.
How do you know? 3 years marriage. How did you know? How did you actually know?
How did I know?
Your person was your person.
You know what it was? I had like a similar thing in terms of like witnessing and seeing not so healthy relationships. So I told myself that the first person that I'm going to get with will be my husband.
Okay.
So I met my husband at uni.
Wow.
And this man, he was very gentle in spirit. I knew the type of man I did not want.
Okay.
Based on what I had seen.
Yeah.
So I can, if I start seeing these traits in you, please.
I don't want.
Leave me alone. So I was able to, he was just a friend, and we were friends for like a good 3 years. And his character just spoke for itself, the way that people would also speak about him. But then also more so than that, I didn't necessarily have any idea of ever like getting married. I didn't know what marriage would even look like.
Yeah.
But I think when this my fantastic man came along, I think I got a lot of confirmation from God in regards to it. I'm a dreamer, so God shows me things in dreams. So when it came to thinking about him romantically and even going down that way, I had so many things that I felt like I needed to work through.
Yeah.
Personally, and I was like, God, if I bring this man, I've come with a lot of baggage.
Yeah. Wow.
If I bring this, if this is the one, right? I want to tell him certain things. I want to open up to him, because my thing was, I'm going to lay everything on the table.
Yeah.
And then you decide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't want to spend time and then get into it and then I now start saying things and then afterwards you're like,
I don't want it anymore, please.
And then I'm already inside. Yeah. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So it was like,
acceptance.
okay, yeah, God, like I want to tell him these things, like show me what his response was. And it was so funny because I had a dream of the exact conversation that we had and his response.
Whoa.
So when we actually had that conversation and his response was the response to the dream, I said,
that's it.
What are the odds?
That's it. Wow.
So that was, I think that was
beautiful.
confirmation enough for me, on top of his character, his way of being, his love for God and all of those things. But I think
love that.
more so I trusted, because I also didn't think much of like dreams. I didn't know how much my dreams really do come true, or God speaks to me and shows me things in dreams. So because I was still figuring those things out. But then I was like, this is too specific.
100. It can't just be mere coincidence.
So 100%. that was me. That was
beautiful.
Yeah. Aww. So let's get over to you.
No, I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing that. I think when it comes to discerning, okay, I'll say my experience, then the general thing that I like say to people. My experience was, this guy came back into my life. I reconnected with my husband, I'd say. Christmas 2022. My auntie asked him to come over for Christmas, and we ended up spending the Christmas break together. And that's when he told me, yo,
I like what I'm seeing.
I like you. I like you.
Like that he was...
No, literally he was so blunt. He was like, basically my sister asked him what's his relationship status or whatever, because it was a big family Christmas basically. My sister was like, what's your relationship, what's dating? And he was like, I'm not dating anybody. And he was like, she asked him, sorry, what is your type? And I was sat next to him at the time. I was sat next to her, not me doing Ghanaian auntie him, him. I was sat next to your sister. I was sat next to my sister while he was across from us. Okay. And but I was engaged in playing a game with my younger cousin. Yeah. And my sister asked him, well, what's your type? And straight on, he was just like, I like intelligent girls, big girls, tall girls. Oh. I like tea bread, all types of bread. All types of bread. And so I thought to myself, hey, this guy's
you're just sitting there playing the game. You're
I said, listen, let me not even avert my eyes, because things are getting a bit too specific. So my sister, obviously, with my sister was like, oh, is that so? Okay, cool.
I loved it.
So anyways, then later on that same evening, he comes into the kitchen and it's basically like, you actually used to be my childhood crush.
Oh.
Back in secondary school, he basically asked me like, am I single, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, and he was like, oh, are you open to dating? I said, yes. He was like, would you date me? And I was like, are you asking me? Oh. And he was like, yeah. And so he took my number. Literally the next week, he asked me to be his girlfriend.
I love that.
Yeah, and a year and a half later, we were engaged, a man with a plan. I think in that, obviously, like I just described, 1 week talking stage. That 1 week talking stage was, let's not even let emotions get involved. First of all, my family had vouched for him. They had known him since he was a child. And they were like, yeah, this guy, great track record of a person. I was able to then kind of ask, like, okay, does he serve in church? Like, what does he do? I was asking him all questions around how does he handle responsibility?
Yeah.
Because marriage, children, whatever the future entails, it's a responsibility. How do you handle responsibility at the moment? What's your relationship with work? What do you see for the future of your life? All the kind of big questions around who are you and where are you going?
Yeah.
Right? And also, where are you coming from? And how have you processed where you're coming from? And what has happened to you? Because I think people can have experienced a whole bunch of stuff. Doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to produce who they will be in the future if they have processed it, if they've learned from it. So I wanted to understand his own processing of his journey. And that 1 week was spent basically interviewing each other. Like, is this again, marriage is a role, husband is a role, wife is a role, do you fit the spec? So I remember about 2 days or so before our first date, I literally laid flat on my face in my bedroom and I was like, God, before emotions even get involved, like, I like, the guy is handsome, he's tall, he's, you know, working, he's done all of this stuff, he's my spec, do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie, one of the finest men I've ever seen in my life.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. But at the same time, God, don't let my emotions run ahead of me, because I'm also aware I have been single for a long time. I am, I think 25 I am 25. My aunties, my mum have been saying, no, please.
When were you married?
They're even doing prayer line for me at this point, sis. Yeah, so I don't want pressure to make me do something that's outside of purpose. And so I was just laying flat on my face and I said, God, don't even let me go ahead on a first date if this is not of you. And in that moment when I prayed that prayer, it was, what came to my mind was just a list that I had done a Bible study on what it means to be a husband. And I'd written a list of, from a biblical point of view, so not just my preferences or anything like that, but from a biblical point of view, what should a husband be? And he ticked everything. Just from how he handles responsibilities, other people's report of who he is, and also the intentions which he laid out. So I also think it's important when it comes to the whole discernment thing. You can think somebody is your husband, but if they haven't expressed that they want to be your husband, the conversation cannot go further. Your thoughts cannot go further. Your heart cannot go further than that. They must express that they want to be in that place. So I was like, okay, God, you brought this thing to my remembrance. And so it wasn't like this, God said to me. It was more so by wisdom, by pure, okay, this is what your word says. Okay, cool. He ticks that. I'll move forward. We can make it work. But also allowing God to speak to me through every journey or every step of that journey, right? So it wasn't just, at the beginning he said this would be my husband. If after 6 months this man was regressing, then goodbye. Bye. Come back to me when you're ready. Do you get what I mean? And I think it's important for women to never go into dating without the willingness to let it go.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, you should always be willing. Obviously, once you're in the marriage, hey, letting it go comes with bigger ramifications. But dating, we can let go of it.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's really important to. I love the fact that you've mentioned like the dating stage. I think it's really important to really take note during that time. And I was even thinking about it like this morning, in terms of how we speak about divorce not really being, nobody wants to get divorced.
Yeah, of course.
You don't get married to get divorced.
Exactly.
That's not the point of it. So if there is any time where you can get out,
it's dating.
Is the dating stage. So it's really important for you to really discern. But also in terms of that discernment element, I think this is why we say it's important for you to build yourself up.
Absolutely.
Beforehand.
Absolutely. Discernment is a spiritual game. It's not, it is, discernment comprises of knowledge, wisdom and understanding, but also the spirit of God. Like you were saying about dreams, right? Dreams are a highly spiritual thing. If you don't have the discernment to know, is this God or is it simply my own subconscious? Is it God or is it my fears manifesting in my mind? That discernment is highly spiritual. It takes a relationship, a connection with God and an infilling of the spirit of God for you to truly have discernment, right? So cultivating that is what allows you to know a bit better. So that's why I say the prerequisite for getting married or knowing should I get married is spiritual depth and maturity. It's a spiritual game. It's a spiritual thing. So if you're going to discern your partner, you must have a connection with God. Yeah,
and we know that marriage is spiritual. So why would you not?
Thank you so much.
Get yourself prepared spiritually.
Yeah. But also, how do I say? Prepare spiritually, but also prepare practically.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah. You have to prepare practically, but also the spiritual should make you think about the practical. Sometimes I think we think too much in the line of spiritual, but actually the Holy Spirit is a very practical, very ordered person as well. So the spiritual should make you think about the practical, right?
That was literally going to be one of the questions.
You know, it should. You have the two go hand in hand. And I think sometimes we think, oh, because I'm thinking so spiritual, the practical needs to go out the window. God is also a very practical person. He's a very practical person. Like, you know, should you be marrying somebody who doesn't like to work? Thank you so much. God bless you. And you can say, oh no, but he doesn't have all the money now. That's completely fine. But God has an understanding of practicality so much as he will give him an opportunity through which he can provide. Right? Yeah. So if he is unwilling to work and now all of a sudden you are paying your bride price, you are buying your engagement ring, you're paying for the whole wedding.
Oh dear.
Just because, but God said he is my husband.
Did you really?
Us take a step back. And think about the full picture God is giving you here.
Yeah. I saw a video that somebody said, like, I think the church always talks about discernment when it comes to dating, but nobody's actually, it's kind of, because there's talk about it so much in dating, or the spiritual aspect of dating so much, you sometimes forget that the physical things or the practical things are really important as well. For example,
big time.
If you're not attracted to the person and you're attracted to the anointing, is that going to suffice?
No, absolutely not. That is how infidelity begins. That's how lust just comes. It's an open door. Do you get what I mean?
The two go hand in hand.
Thank you so much. And also, like, we're not talking about seeing things through a worldly lens, right? Like, attraction is something that it's very subjective. Like, just because everyone else finds him attractive might not mean that God wants your eyes to be open to him in that way. So I think allowing yourself to see this person and saying, like, okay, good, am I physically attracted to them? Can I see myself living with them? Can I see myself spending a lifetime with them? Can I see myself having sex with them? Obviously not meditating on that idea, but can I see myself enjoying that, right?
Having fun with them.
Exactly, having fun with him, literally building an entire life.
That's
right?
What it is.
A satisfying life. Can I see that? And can I see us both working on that? That's all you need to ask. So that's the practical element of things. And I think we can become so hyper spiritual in it because we want to avoid the spiritual maturity and the responsibility that comes with it, right? If I can say, well, for example, Genesis 3, the fall of man. Adam didn't want to take responsibility for the fall. So what do you say? It's the wife you gave me.
It's the one you gave me, please.
It's the one you gave me, right? And so it's the same thing. We can be like, oh, you know, I don't want to do the practical of making myself, you know, increasing my earning potential. And this goes for men and women. Doing the work, learning to do the cooking, the cleaning, learning to make a vision come to life, right? Being spiritually mature, disciplined, all of that stuff. I don't want to do all of that. So I'm just going to wait for you to point out to me that this is your spouse. And I'm just going to think and trust that our marriage will last because you said this is your spouse. But that's not how it works.
That's how you want it to be. Because sometimes you want answers the easy way. Like, God, I don't want to think. I don't want to do. Can you do for me, please?
Can you do for me? But what parent allows their child to grow up that way? At some point, you have to trust that I have given you the tools, the instructions, the wisdom, the capacity to make your own decisions. You know, I can't remember who. I think it was at church actually that somebody said, you know, when God put Adam in the garden and he gave him his first assignment to name all the animals. He wasn't micromanaging him. He stood back and he watched him. But Adam had never done that before. Why? He trusted that within Adam is the capability. I have put in him the capability to name all of the animals. So he doesn't need to keep coming and running back to me, or should it be dog, should it be cat, should I reverse it? Blah, blah. He might have had that internally, but because he had the mind of God, because he was made in the image of God, he was able to do that himself, right? And I think similarly with us, yes, now post-fall, we do have a mind and a soul within us that has been contaminated by sin and dysfunction and corruption and all of that stuff. But as that is now renewed and we have allowed God to come and dwell inside of us and our mind is being renewed daily, we must remember that with that continual renewal, we are getting the capacity to make our own decisions without having to keep running back with fear that we're going to get it wrong, but trusting that God was in us and with us as we made that decision in the present moment. And so I really want to see women get to that level of confidence where it's not just by your knowledge and by your power, but you know within you is hidden God's knowledge and his power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Now.
Yeah.
You've entered.
You even did.
You have entered.
I have.
You have joined. You have joined the marriage crew.
I have.
How has it been for you?
I've enjoyed it. Yeah. I've actually really enjoyed it. You know, marry a nice person, man.
Yeah. Did you have expectations like before entering marriage? And
I did. I did. I think looking back now, I think they were quite negative. Like I was saying, around performativity. Like I have to perform, you have to do being a wife. And that didn't come from my husband. If anything, like I said, he's kind of telling me the opposite. Whereas it came from, I guess, deep, subconscious, internalized societal expectations, particularly being a Ghanaian girl of immigrants who are like, you know, you wake up and you do this and you do that. And growing up, I was labeled the rebellious one.
Okay.
I was also labeled quite lazy growing up. And it was something that I had internalized as a belief about my identity. Even though, you know, my academic record, my career record kind of showed the opposite. It was very much something I struggled to shrug off. And so I went into marriage kind of thinking, damn, I'm always going to have to be cooking. I'm always going to have to be cleaning. And having a deep belief that I am incapable of doing all of those things. But I remember right before I got married, my mum, I've always had a very interesting relationship with my mum, but she said something that really brought me joy and comfort. And she was just like, I know you're going to be an excellent wife. And it wasn't, I could just tell, like, it wasn't about cooking, cleaning, any of that, because she's always been like, as for Courtney, we don't know how she's surviving and she's managing, I don't know. But she's just living. She's just living. It works out, you know? It just works out. My whole family is like that with me. It's like, we don't even understand the girl. Hey!
You have really shown them perfect.
Yeah, big time. Ever since I was young, I've always been so mouthy, so like, all the things that I do brilliantly now and I've embraced. My dad's always be like, yeah, go girl. You know, my mum would be like, hey, Jesus, you spoiled this child. Yeah, but for me, I think that moment she was just saying like, everything that you are is enough to be an excellent partner to this man. And it really helped me to settle my heart in that, okay, like marriage is, and being with Kelvin is not about being the picturesque image of a wife. And when I got into marriage, I think what really brought me relief and joy was that he just wanted me to be his friend. Like my personality, us being around, like if you come to our house, we're always playing. Well, obviously there's the adult side of things, right? Someone has to do the laundry. Someone has to do the cleaning.
They're not so fun things.
They're not so fun things, but at the same time, I'm very glad I lived with my best friend before I got married. So I had moved out of home. So again, you learn these things. If you don't clean, things are gonna get dirty. Do you want to live in filth? No, so you have to get up. Rise up and start to clean. You want food? Okay, if you don't want to be, you know, spending £1,000 on Nando's every month, go and cook. Do you get what I mean? So I'm glad that I learned those adult things, but at the same time, there wasn't this pressure to perform. If you come to our house, we're playing cards, we're watching Deal or No Deal, we're having a dance battle, we're just kikiing, we're rapping, he's beatboxing. Like it's just vibes. Do you get what I mean? We're doing Bible study, we're going for walks, we're doing all of these things. And I think it's beautiful. It's been beautiful seeing, not this turn into the Kelvin fan club, but I think what I've loved most is growing up, I didn't see men who were supportive of their wives' calling. I also didn't see a lot of partnership growing up in that we are doing this thing together. And my husband has a really successful, flourishing career. But to see how much he will lay things aside, like even this morning to come here, it's like, I have my morning meeting, but I'll tell them I need to leave 10 minutes earlier because I need to drop you to the train station. I could have got the bus, right? But he was like, no, I'm gonna drop you. Right?
Passenger princess, eh?
Do you get what?
Yeah.
Through and through. They're trying to force me to get a license.
Me too.
I revolt.
I need to get on my Zoom.
Yeah, for real. We'll get there, but for now, thank God for husbands. So even that, like, I never, and at some points I tell him, I'm like, oh, I don't want to inconvenience you. He's just looking at me like, husband. Relax your nerves, bruv. Like, I think I should get on his nerves. Literally, I think I get on his nerves. And sometimes I've said that to him, and literally the guy will be like, it is an honor to get to do these things for you. Plus, you need the help. And I'm just like, you're right, you know? Yeah. And so I think it's been beautiful to see partnership. It's been beautiful to see friendship. And those parts weren't as emphasized for me when I was growing up, or I think even within cultural conversations about marriage, when women are talking about marriage or people are talking about marriage to women, they don't talk enough about the partnership and the friendship aspect of things. I think they make them think you're going into marriage to serve, but you're also going into marriage to be served, but also to build together, right? It's not just this, he's here, I'm here, or I'm here, he's here. We're both here. Yeah. We are standing side by side. And I think that's the beauty of this equally yoked kind of conversation. It's, we are standing side by side. We're pulling this cart together. We are heading in the same direction together. Yeah. And I love that togetherness.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. It's really nice to, I guess this is why these conversations are also needed in terms of seeing like the nice side of marriage and not just like the hardships. And I think for a lot of women, you go in with this thing that you're going to work.
Yes.
You're going into that marriage. You will work. Even if you do not want to get up to cook, you will do it.
Oh, please.
Otherwise, you're the worst wife that has ever graced this earth.
Yeah.
I think it's, like you said, it's really important to know the person that you are marrying. I have a friend. He's so fun. I have a friend, and he says, "Oh, I expect my wife to wake up at 5 a.m. to be making me breakfast. Go and find that woman, please. Don't come and disturb somebody."
But also, like, please don't stress somebody's daughter, please.
But don't for somebody else, they might. That's
and to be fair, they might already be doing it.
They might already be doing it.
Do you know what I mean? It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it's not the same. I think it's really a bad place to put yourself in if you look at other people's marriages as though that's going to be, or that has to be your marriage.
Yes, yeah, and your dynamic.
Right, your marriage, you make it whatever you want it to be. So 100%. With your person, you figure out, okay, what is our way of doing things? Yeah. Is it that I don't like doing laundry. My husband loves laundry.
Yeah.
So you see him every day just doing. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about it. Fantastic.
That's it.
I don't have to worry about it. So it's like you create the home that you want. You create the, like you're saying, the vision that you had for your marriage. Make it come to life. And you don't need to feel pressured. Oh, if this person is doing this, then I need to do it. If this person, you're not married to that person's person.
And if this person tells you your husband should do this, no,
he doesn't need to do anything.
We'll do what works for us.
Yeah. No, I think I love that. Was there any like surprises that you've kind of had like coming into marriage?
Yes, I think this is something that we spoke about on our pre-call. I grew up with a lot of people be like, you're a wife now. You're a wife. I know you're busy, but you're a wife now. Oh, I know your life is not. Your life is not. You're a wife now. I'm actually the same person I was like a year ago. I just live with my man now.
Like, give me a break.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But also this esteem that you've put around it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still hanging out with my girls. I'm still... Now, yes, there's responsibility that comes with having a home, having a mortgage. All to be fair, he has to take care of all that. Because I'm just the paperwork. Please. Yeah. But things like that, like, yes, there does... We don't want to be in that all the time. We don't have the budget for that. Yeah. So, yes, I cook because I prefer my cooking to his cooking. Do you get what I mean? That's just, he knows the deal. He has to do all the cooking. So, we've divided it.
You found your way of doing things.
We found our way of doing things. Yeah. But I find that is probably what led to a bit of the intimidation I had around marriage and about whether I could hack it, because I am ambitious when it comes to my career. And I actually also want to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with any way a woman chooses to live her life. Obviously within some kind of moral boundaries there. But I think if you choose to be as basically, I don't think there's anything wrong with how anyone chooses to live their life or what their dream is, if it's their dream.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think sometimes we see, especially right now, like I remember I saw a TikTok of somebody being like, oh, you know, we celebrate the woman who got married at 22 and she has 2 kids and she's never had a real job and she's a dependent on her husband. But we don't celebrate the woman who's 35 and has a really thriving career because she's not married. And I thought to myself, well, both of those women are living their dream, what's that got to do with any of us? Do you get what I mean?
So why are you entering people's business? Do you get what I mean?
And I genuinely think to myself, we do not need to put down one type of woman to lift up one. Yeah. And I get that that's been done, but I think when it comes to race, gender, whatever, class, subverting the pyramid isn't necessarily, or subverting the dynamics isn't necessarily the equality you think it is. Yeah. Uplifting this woman by saying this woman is actually beneath her, that's not the equality that we actually think it is. So it's saying, okay, that woman who married at 22, 2 kids, never had a real job, is that her dream? Fantastic. I'm glad she's living it. Yeah. That woman who's 35, phenomenal career, never had a man, is that her dream? Fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely love it for her. And so for me, I think it was allowing myself to say, okay, you know what? My life, my dream life consists of having a thriving business, having a marriage that's thriving as well. Yeah. And I want a man who wants to build that with me. Yeah. And I think I went in with a little bit of fear around, do women who have thriving careers also thrive in marriage? Because I was told marriage must look like this, therefore you must set aside all of that. Yeah. Not just your ambition, but also your go-getter mentality, all of that stuff. And I do think there is a part of me that obviously any grown human being understands that the person you are in one context isn't necessarily the person you are in another. Yeah. The person you are at home is not the person you are at work. Mm-hmm. The person you are at, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So also understand that the person that I am on brand calls is not the same person I am in my marriage. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When I'm sat there playing cards with Kelvin and I'm not talking about KPIs. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not talking about accountability in that way, right? And so allowing myself to recognize, okay, when I'm around Kelvin, I get to be this person. When I'm at work, I get to be this person. And I love that. I love both. And so I think it was the shock of people thinking, oh, now that you're married, you're going to be so busy. You're going to be this, you're going to be that. And me, I'm just like, maybe there's a part of the test I'm missing because I don't actually think for me right now, it's like that as a newlywed with no children. Like, yes, there is a lot going on, but even if I wasn't married, there'll be a lot going on. Yeah.
I think, again, everything just kind of ties back in, isn't it? Maybe that for those that, again, idealize marriage, you make it your whole world, so everything else gets put to the wayside. Yeah. Or even if you don't necessarily idealize marriage, because of what culture has fed you in terms of what marriage is supposed to look like, that's what you might conform to, even in your marriage, when you know that that's not necessarily what you want to do. Yes. But you're doing it for the sake of the outside. Exactly. That are not even inside your marriage.
Thank you very much.
It can be really like a battle for a lot of people. Yeah. But I think let's speak to the ambitious women.
Yes.
Who
my girl
are married. How do you balance, you know? But I guess you said it's not necessarily a way of balancing. You just look at it as, when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm in my marriage, I'm in my
and sometimes it's hard to compartmentalize like that because as entrepreneurs, work is not 9 to 5. Yeah. It's 24/7. Yeah. Do you get what I mean?
Thinking about it constantly,
sometimes it is like in this whole conversation of balance, there is no perfect thing. Yeah. There is only understanding, you know? Yeah. There are some seasons where, like, I took 6 months off at the beginning of my marriage, right? And it was so wonderful. That's why I was sleeping until like 10, 11, 12. It was just like, I'm off. I'm off. I just planned the wedding, just bought a house. We just did all of this stuff. I'm exhausted. Yeah. So myself and Renee got married very close together. Yeah. So it was like, let's just take a break. Let's just take a breather. Because ambitious women, we run and we keep going and we keep going and keep going. And if you're not careful and you don't take times for intentional rest, you will burn out. Yeah. And so taking those 6 months off were absolutely beautiful. But obviously when those 6 months ended, there was that conversation around, listen, when we were dating, you know how you found me. I was working. Yeah. Now I'm going back to work. And I think it's that understanding between us both of, okay, so sometimes I'm going to come to bed late. Sometimes you're going to come to bed late. Like my husband's in ministry. That man, sometimes he'll be having to go to meetings, half night, and I'm just here like,
what am I doing?
This is the labor of the kingdom.
You have to be understanding.
I have to be but it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I have to be understanding of the fact that he has a call. I also have my call.
Yeah.
And we both, our understanding is what helps each other fulfill the call, right? Yeah. I know that, okay, right now I'm going to be editing until 10 p.m, right? And so my husband will bring me, he's like, here's a sandwich. Don't even have to take out your earphones. Please eat something. Do you know what I mean? But also vice versa. Sometimes when he's practicing the keys or he has to be there with patience, I'm just like, okay, you do you. Here's a cup of tea. I don't need your attention right now because I understand that would add pressure to what you've got going on already. So I'm just like, okay, this is just what it is. It's understanding. And for me, the balance comes around clarity of responsibilities. What am I responsible for? Because again, being a responsible adult in marriage is necessary. So if I'm responsible for the cooking, I have to be doing the cooking. But I need to find a system for the cooking that works for me, that also he's understanding of. So I knew, because of my context and my ambitions, you're not getting fresh food every day. The best I can do is put rice in the rice cooker. Every day.
That's your new...
But what you will like is the food that's in the fridge.
You have to make do.
You have to like it. Do you know what I mean? And for me, that was like a non-negotiable. Unless you... And the thing is, I'm even tempted to say, unless you give me a salary, but I know me... I don't want to be cooking every day. I don't want to... It's not even just about ambition. It's not my calling. I like cooking once a month. Twice a month.
When I feel like it,
I'm so joyful. But as soon as you make it a daily, you have to. Your every day is gonna be bad.
I'm not
food.
a chef. Please leave me.
It's not my ministry. And so that came with, as we're dating and courting, again, that's why I think it's so beautiful to cultivate that self-awareness and acceptance when you're single of who you are, because then you can just position it to them and be like, how do you feel about that? If you don't like it, I'm not gonna change. I can't.
I'm not doing it.
I know who I am.
I'm walking in power.
I'm walking in miracles.
Honestly.
I'm not going to change.
No, I think it's
so if you can't take it, it's okay. Again, being willing to let it go. We're not compatible in that way. If also I feel like, you know what, for you, I want to change, I have to be willing to do that work. But I wouldn't recommend that line of thinking, personally.
Take me as I am.
Take me as I am, knowing that there will be parts of me God will work on, but then there are some parts of me that are just ingrained in my nature, right? Like, if you're a night owl, it's probably going to be hard to learn to be a morning early bird, right? It can be done, but do you want to work with the grain or against it? I choose to work with it, right? And I think that's how you discover your realm of genius. And I think for ambitious women in general, it's about having those honest conversations, being with somebody who understands with full, like real understanding, even prophetic understanding, dare I say, who you are and who you're called to be. One of the early conversations I had with my husband when we first started dating, he told me that God had given him a vision of my calling, not me as his wife, of what I have been called to do. He had full understanding of what that would mean and how it would impact us if we were to be married. And I said, you've got it, sir. Spot on. And it shaped his expectations. It also shaped my expectations. And so I think that level of understanding where both of you can support and get behind the vision for what God has called you both to. Because I also think it's important for you, anyone, whether you're an ambitious woman or you're an ambitious man, to not let your partner become eclipsed by your ambition. They also have to manifest what God has put inside of them, and that is also your duty towards them. So how do you both get on the same page about how that will be done? My husband has his goals, I have my goals. At the beginning of the year, we sit down and we think, okay, I'm holding you accountable to yours, you're holding me accountable to mine. We're also creating an environment in this house that is conducive to everyone, me, you, and our future children, reaching the calling by which they have been called. That is our duty to one another. So how do we make this thing work?
And I think it's just like you said, it's really important for you to have the things that you're working on, and the other person to also have things that they're working on. Because otherwise, you'll just be living in their shadows.
Yes.
Right? And
exactly.
when they're doing something and you don't have anything doing, you'll be sitting there like,
exactly.
What is life?
Exactly. And it goes for anything. You can get lost or eclipsed by anyone.
Yeah.
Your friends, your children, the ministry, the church, anyone. You also need to recognize when you get to the gates of heaven and they ask you, what did you do?
What did you do?
You better have something to say.
Hello.
Hello, hi. Literally on a straight line.
Honestly. Yeah, find something to do.
Literally.
Yeah, God has a call for everyone. And I think it's doing yourself a disservice to think that once you marry, all you are is a wife. Sorry.
But also it's the limiting definition of what we have that as. Do you know what I mean? Like, to be a wife is to cook, to clean, to be at his every service. It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that. It's the same thing for men. To be a husband is not just to provide. It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Let's expand our definition of this calling so we can get the full scope.
Yeah.
Therefore, we can actually manifest the kingdom that we're saying we want to see come through this marriage.
So what are some conversations that you need to have, whether prior to marriage with the person that you're going to be with?
That's good.
You know, that you think some people might not necessarily even think about.
Okay, the ones that I think people don't think about. I would hope that most people know, like, the conversations around purpose. Yeah. But also, what is your vision for your marriage? How do you see every day going? How do you see us feeling? You know, because they might be Mr. Adventure and you might be Mrs. Stay at Home. You know, so how do we reconcile that if we can? I think questions around money and not just around who's going to pay for the bills. It's about our financial future. Yeah. Like, when Proverbs talks about a wise man leaves inheritance for his children's children, that is something you have to be planning from now. So financially, what do we think about savings, investments? What do we see? Like, somebody's point of view of an investment is giving all the money to church because they want to build the kingdom. Somebody else's view of building the kingdom is putting this stuff in a trust for our children's children, right? Let's get on the same page as to what we're both working on, what we're both working for. What is your understanding of ownership? Yeah. Some people's view is that everything should be in the man's name. I think it's about having a conversation about, is it going to be ours equally? Or is it just yours? And I get to partake in your enjoyment of it.
Can you imagine?
It's different. It's not the same.
Can you imagine?
It's not the same. You know, what a lot of people are calling, you know, that soft lifestyle. Oof. Is a man just allowing you to enjoy with him. But if he's not there, you actually have nothing. You have nothing in your name. Yeah. So conversations like that is actually a huge one. I was speaking at a women's conference. I spoke there when I was single, and it's just happened that the next year's one fell right after my wedding. And I was like, one of the best conversations I'm glad I had with my husband was around our signatures being on certain contracts together, right? The fact that ownership of our house, ownership of our asset were both of ours. It wasn't just his, it was mine as well. And it wasn't just mine, it was his as well. Yeah. Because I was coming into a marriage with assets, he was coming into the marriage with assets. So we have to have a conversation about what does this mean for the both of us. And I think that's a really powerful thing to have, because it reminds you that your husband, I believe for us as women, because we are on the kind of lowest hand of the financial conversation, your husband should see it as his responsibility to financially uplift you, but also financially protect you. So as much as, yes, you are there as a helper, and a lot of women take time away from career and making money to have children, and there's that biological reality. You're going to carry the child, so it's going to have an impact on you and your money, right? And your health. Yeah. And so if you need to take 2 years off work, 1 year off work, whatever, what's going to happen? And has he made up his mind to financially protect you in that whilst you are having your time at home, he's also contributing to your pension.
Yeah.
He's making sure that, you have money in savings independent of him, right? If anything were to happen to him as well, do you have access to the money?
Oh, with this thing of soft life, it's not helping. It's not as helpful as you think.
It's not as helpful as you think. Yeah. And I think it's allowing yourselves to have those conversations before it shouldn't turn men off to have a conversation before marriage about money and like the nitty gritty. How much do you make? How much do you take home? How much do you save? What do you contribute towards your parents? Because that's going to affect you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you tithe? Do you do more than a 10%? Like what's going on? What am I walking into? And the same with you. Yeah. What's your credit score? And lay it all out on the table. Yeah. Not because it's perfect, but both of you need to be on the same page.
Yeah, there's no point in lying, especially if you're going into a covenant, because it's the both of us. The two shall become one. So why are we doing...
Let's not be hide and seek. Nah, let's not do that. So the money one, big one. And I'm talking about big money conversations, right? And just because somebody pays on dates doesn't mean that they're a generous person, you know? And you need generosity with their marriage. But also as women, we need financial transparency. Yeah. Even being transparent enough to say, I have my own money on the side, just so you know. Yeah. Right? That's still financial transparency. Yeah. Another conversation I think that it's important to have is... what are the dynamics we're gonna have once we have children? Yeah. I think maybe not enough of us, or a lot of us, think that far because we just thank God for the kids in it. But at the same time, it's going to actually have an effect on both of us. Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes it just defaults to the woman. Yeah. Taking the kids to school, taking the kids to the dentist, taking the kids to after school club, taking the kids to it just defaults on the mum. But I think it's important to have a conversation about what does family life look like if we do want children, so that we both know what we're signing up for and we both know what we are being held accountable to. Yeah. And we can both prepare ourselves adequately as well.
I think that's a really good one, because a really good conversation to have even prior to getting married. Because what you end up seeing, and I always see this on like TikTok, when people are newly married and obviously they're Christian, or wait until marriage. Yeah. And it's always, oops, a baby has now come 2 months into marriage. Now you're trying to figure things out, trying to figure out how to be a husband, how to be a wife, and then how to be a parent. Pressure. But we did not have those conversations before, because we thought that we'll at least have 1 year.
Exactly. Exactly. Then, wedding night, pam, it's sad. Yeah.
So I think, those conversations are definitely
100%
very important to have if you can prepare yourself. You may think, this is it's a bit too much, and do we need to really go in depth like that?
Yes. Absolutely. We're about to sign up to this thing for the rest of our lives. We must go deep. Yeah. We must actually go deep. And I think it's worth having those conversations, and also worth having those conversations in community, right? Like having mentors who have spanned various lengths of marriage age, right? So people are in that new, I'm really grateful that we had friends who had been married for 1 year, but come over, this is what the first year looks like, you know? But then also have people, and we had mentors who have been married for 40 years, who were like, this is what it's like to have grown children. I've hit menopause and beyond. He got cancer. Like all of these things that just give you understand that it's a lifelong thing. And as much as you're not going to be perfectly ready until you do it, because there's a huge chunk of it which is just learning on the job, these are the things you must be aware of could happen, so that you're not caught off guard. And I think that thing you brought up, especially around Christian marriages, like children can come in at any point. I've had so many people who, like you said, they want to wait a year, 2 months into the marriage, they're pregnant. Do you get what I mean? I've had people who 10 years into the marriage, they haven't had a child yet. Yeah. What does that do to us? Yeah. What does it look like to be so committed to one another, content with one another, maybe, that whether children come or not, we're still fine?
Yeah. That's a hard one. Yeah, I'm sure that's a hard one. And these are conversations that need to be had. Yeah.
Even if it's just discussions. Yeah. Reading books together was really helpful, and just being able to discuss what was in the book, having conversations with people and being like, if that scenario was to happen to us, like what would we do? And just getting to know the mind of your partner.
Yeah. Be curious.
Being curious. That's good. Yeah.
Be curious. I think not only about each other, but also other people. I think it's always good to learn from people that have gone before you.
100%.
Even if somebody is married 2 months, I'm sure within those 2 months they may have picked up something and they can share.
Yeah. Even if they haven't picked up, again, this whole like single people are not disqualified. Like from the marriages they've observed, like you said, the things that they've seen, even like as trivial as films and soaps and dramas, you know, like me and my friends will always be doing scenarios. What would you do if your husband did it? What would you do if your husband did it? And we didn't know nothing. We were just 19, 18 years old. But at the same time, it just gets you thinking about, okay, what's actually important to me and what can I tolerate? And maybe what are some traumas that I still need to overcome? So I think it's just the curiosity is a big one in general in life.
Yeah. And so for people that want to get into marriage, what is one thing
you're going
you
to make me sound like marriage guru? I don't know.
No, you're inside the marriage. You know, we've spoken about so many different things. I'm sure you can also share some insight. You said single people are not disqualified. You're now inside.
It's true. It's true.
For those that want to get married, like what should they understand about marriage before getting into it?
I think marriage, like friendship, like church service, like career, like anything, is a site for discipleship. It's a tool God uses to disciple you. Ultimately, God wants you to be a disciple who makes disciples. And marriage is just one arena that he can shape you as a disciple and an arena in which you can make disciples. You know, I am my husband's disciple. My husband is my disciple. We are walking together, learning how to be like Christ every single day. And in discipling each other, sometimes, you know, in the wisdom of God, the discipleship doesn't look like him being like, oh, Courtney, Genesis 1 says, the discipleship is him testing my last nerve. And then the Holy Spirit being like,
what do you do in this
situation?
Great
day to become more like Jesus, you know?
Absolutely.
And vice versa. Me getting on his last nerve and him being like, yeah, okay, this is where God is teaching me to become more like Jesus, you know? And so that's what I want you to get into marriage, knowing that it's more than a wedding, it's more than sex, it's more than fun times and playing cards and deal or no deal. It's discipleship. You know, it's me learning to be more like Christ.
I love that.
Yeah. It makes you sober-minded.
It
makes you sober-minded. It helps put everything into perspective, especially for the trials that come. And I think when we think of trials as young people, we think about, him cheating and blah, blah, blah. But genuinely, I think by the grace of God, like I said, I've been exposed to different marriages, different scenarios, and I've seen in sickness and in health. I've seen for rich or for poor. I've seen the no children. I've seen the parents die. Like, we've heard those conversations and have to see like marriage comes with various trials of various kinds, but we have to count it all joy.
That's life.
That's life.
Yeah.
That's life.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. But I also want to speak to the woman who is in their waiting period. What advice would you give them in terms of, like, there's a woman who desires marriage, they're waiting, they're hoping for it. What advice, what encouragement would you give them?
I think maybe this is a bit contrarian, but I think we do need to change the language a bit. I don't think it's a waiting season. I think, yes, you've asked God for something and you're waiting, you're hoping for it, therefore you're waiting for it to manifest. I understand where it comes from. But I think there's this sense of, okay, you're waiting, but what are you allowing to pass by in that season because you're waiting? Sorry, I think it's remembering that, okay, yes, you're hoping for, but life is still moving, and therefore you still have to move. You still have to do things, and there is so much joy. Like, I delighted in and I still delight in my friendships, in my family, in my career, in my church community, in serving God in various ways. Everything that I get to do in my calling, I delight in that. And my single season was filled with delighting in that. Yes, there were thoughts that would come of, I wish I had a partner. Yes, but at the same time, I'm lacking nothing. I can't lie, I'm lacking nothing. And you know, I remember writing in the caption when my Instagram caption, when I got engaged, that I wanted the type of love that would make my single season worth leaving. Because it was already really good. So if you were offering me something less than that, I didn't need it.
Yeah.
I already had a life and a lifestyle that I loved. Yeah. And so you got a match. You've got to make this an addition, not a subtraction to me. And I think going in to dating with that mentality starts by recognizing that in your waiting period, you're lacking nothing. You are hoping for something, but with everything that you have right now, learn to be content. Yeah. I think I would say, like, I know that social rhetorics and narratives are there and stuff, but marriage is not the promised land. Yeah. It's not the promised land. We are all here waiting for the actual promise. And so everything that you have right now is enough, right? Yeah. And companionship is beautiful, but companionship comes in so many ways. You are a daughter, you are a friend, you're a sister, you're a cousin. Serve in all of those relationships. Love and allow yourself to be loved in those relationships. Yeah, I think our understanding of waiting is probably what needs to be changed, because waiting is not as in you're sitting there, I'm waiting, hands crossed, okay, God, 100%. Just waiting, like you're at the GP waiting to be called in or something like that. No, I don't think that's what it is. I think in the waiting, that's where the pruning is happening, because especially if you're looking forward to something, you need to be prepared for you to be able to also sustain and steward well that thing that you are hoping for. Absolutely. So waiting is not just sitting there and thinking daily about this thing that it consumes your mind completely. That's not what it's all about. It's still going on with life and doing the things that you were doing, because in doing so, the different situations that you will find yourself in is all part of the pruning that may then also help you when you reach that thing that you were hoping for. Exactly. And I said that in a video recently, in that when you have a vision for the marriage that you want, you recognize that you are 50% of its building. You have to do the work to build it too. And so you must prepare yourself to be able to build that life. And that way, even if the man never comes, you can still build that life. You can still have that life. It will look different, absolutely. And sometimes some women will have to grieve what they did not, not even achieve, they did not have in getting married or having biological children or whatever. But at the same time, I think that's why God tells us in Timothy about the power of contentment. The real power of contentment. And a lot of us are discontent because we think that we lack something, that God is withholding marriage or children from us, and we are missing something in that season. But everything God has given you is enough. It's enough, It's enough. Yeah. And it's a gift, right? It's a gift that he will choose whether he gives that to you or not. And you have to be okay with that, because he knows the end from the beginning. He has a fuller picture. Sometimes we have such a skewed view, or only a little snippet of what God is doing. We don't necessarily understand the full thing. And we also don't see the portion that we have as a gift too. That too, There are people who are married who wish they were single. They won't say it. But they wish they had what you had, because it's a gift. I've been seeing that a lot, actually. And even the whole conversation of kind of rewriting what people think of when it comes to marriage and having children. And the desire for all of that. It's not, some people have children and they're like, this is the worst thing that I could have right now. And some people are like, this is the best thing. So exactly. And so that's what I mean by, like, you think you want this thing and you're waiting for it because you lack something now. You don't lack anything now, because it's what your covetousness or what your flesh or your carnal desires is telling you is that thing is perfection. But it's not, you know. And it's not, because I'm sure, like, for example, we can tell, motherhood isn't all that. I wish I, didn't have kids. But there is a woman who's been waiting for kids for so long who, don't you dare. I know what I want in that, right? So it's not about which is better, which is worse. It's not about that. It's about seeing what I have now. God, I choose to see it as the best, because this is the situation you've given me. And also, I think even in that quote unquote waiting, sometimes
you have to question the motive behind the desire that you have of something.
Yes.
Because now if God decides to give you that thing and that now becomes even an idol.
Thank you.
Where is my place?
And we forget the Lord gives and takes.
Yeah.
He gives and he takes.
Yeah.
You know, look at Job. Look at Anna. Look at all the people. Look at David. Look at people who had and lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So if we idolize anything, we will be sharply reminded that our hope cannot be in these things. Yeah. Our hope cannot be in these things, because sometimes, yes, you have it, but it wasn't then what you thought that it would be.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's not beautiful. It's just because it's not God. Yeah. It is not God.
You forced it. And now you're having to deal with it.
Or even if you got it perfectly, it's still not God.
Still not God. Yeah.
There will never be, and I know this is where I'm glad we're talking to Christian people, but this is where our Christian faith really comes into play here. The understanding that nothing in this world, as good as it be, can ever satisfy. Yeah. You can have the perfect marriage. You can have the perfect kids. Yeah. You can have the home. You can have the banging career, and it still pales in comparison to who God is. Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying, like, we must have deep satisfaction with God. We can't be using our Christianity as simply a tool to get to the things that we think will actually satisfy us. Yeah. God must be the end of our pursuit. Everything else must get us there.
That's good.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Everything will pale in comparison. I don't care how much you love your kids. It pales in comparison to the love of God. I don't care how much you have a banging career. It pales in comparison to the sufficiency of God. Like, God has to be our delight, right? And I think we sing these songs. And we think, only you can satisfy my heart. But can he? Yeah. Because you have him now and you're not satisfied.
It's such a battle, isn't it? It's not easy.
No, because we get caught up in this world. Yeah. You know, we forget that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, though. Yeah. And the human experience of us is getting distracted by all these shiny things. Like, oh my gosh, in this earth realm, we have nice dresses and we have food and we have all of this stuff. And our flesh is like, let's live here forever. And our spirit is like, no, heaven is our home. And heaven has better, but we don't know that reality. Because that's not what we see in this dimension of things. And so just reminding ourselves that heaven is better. Yeah. Whether I'm single, whether I'm married, heaven is better. You know? I love that. Yeah. I think that's a fantastic way to end this conversation. It is. But thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your wisdom. I've enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you guys have also enjoyed this conversation. But thank you, Courtney. Anytime. Honestly, thank you for having me. Thank you for creating this wonderful space. And I really do pray that God just continues to allow conversations like this to really help our generation, even generations before us and coming, have God's best for marriage and for home life and for womanhood. And that this will just be a place that continues to be filled with like wisdom and laughter and joy. And I also pray for you that God would use it as an opportunity to evolve you in what he's called you to be and for you to also delight in doing it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. And all the best with everything that you are doing, all the new projects that you are working on. I pray that everything that your hand touches, that it will be blessed. It will be also a blessing to all those that listen. All the sisters will be impacted, even all the more. And you will travel the globe. Amen. You will travel the globe. Hey, Jesus. And you will share your wisdom. And many lives will be changed in Jesus' name. Amen. Woman of God. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and also stay connected with us on social media. Until next time, stay tuned for more glimpses behind the veil.